Hello, and welcome to Leave a Light On podcast, a show that looks to tackle the everyday struggles in our everyday lives. It's time to shed some light on it. Leave a Light On podcast is not a licensed mental health service. It shouldn't be substituted for professional advice or treatment. Things discussed in this podcast are general in nature and may be of a sensitive nature. If you're struggling, please seek professional help or contact Lifeline on 13 11 14. Here's your hosts.
Yo, hello, good day, welcome. Hello, Boydie.
Hello, Shane. How are you, mate?
Good, bud, good.
How's your day been?
It's been good, thank you.
Good.
Welcome to another episode of Leave a Light On podcast. Yeah, boy. Actually, you know what I've been wanting to do? And I think this is a good episode to do it, is I've missed this song or this little intro that we've done because I just feel like today's guest also just would love this because it literally embodies them, is this guy.
Yes, 100%.
Like, got to get into it, son. Let's go.
Just make sure to...
Yeah. Yeah. I feel so gangster when I hear this. Welcome to another episode. Thank you, Boydie, for joining me.
No problem, Shane. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Today is probably just... Oh, man. I keep saying this. But I can't...
It's the best episode.
Yeah, it's the best. Every episode is the best episode.
It's really just, I think... confronting is probably one word. It's also inspiring.
Yeah. I will also start by saying if you are a parent, this one could be very hard for most parents
100%.
out there.
Yes.
So if anything in this episode does trigger you in any way, please, like we've always said in our intro, reach out to Lifeline. It's 13 11 14. Just get any assistance that you may need.
Absolutely. Because yes, it is.
It's confronting.
It's
like
confronting.
You say.
Yeah, 100%. 100%
So,
confronting. From a parent's point of view, I was sitting there going, "Oh my God, I can't even believe that she's gone through this."
So today we have today's episode is all about two people, but one being the main character. But it also turned out to be two.
Yes,
when we start to hear. So we have Sam Dow, who is our mother, and then we have Jett Dow. Jett is 15 years old, and Jett has been diagnosed with stage 4 brain cancer, otherwise known as glioblastoma. Is the technical name for it. And how's this? Okay, so Jett was diagnosed with stage 4 brain cancer in October 2022.
Yep.
October 2022, he was diagnosed with this, and I'm reading directly from a medical journalist here that says that if a person has glioblastoma, doctors estimate that they will survive 12 to 18 months.
So he's already kicked that goal.
Yeah.
He's already 2 years.
His story is incredible.
Phenomenal.
It's inspiring. He is honestly the coolest little dude as well.
Absolutely.
And humble,
cool.
like you
Very
cannot
humble.
believe.
I just can't. Every time I think about him, I'm just like, this guy is an inspiration. There's just no other words for him. And his mum is just next level for a parent that has had to deal with what she's had to deal with by herself. She is just amazing.
Absolutely. But yeah, I mean, it's just, I can't, he is just the coolest dude as well.
100%. And he's really just got the best outlook on life. Like we've always said on this podcast, it's about finding the best outcome, and finding those challenges and beating them and, setting goals and moving forward. And Jett is definitely, the poster boy for that because he is there to, move on, and he's already kicked one goal where he should have only been here for up to 18 months, and it's been 2 years now. And he's, their next big hurdle is for 5, and he just said to us before he left, he'll still be here in 5 years. So he's so amazing.
Yeah, he is. He really is.
Every time I think about it, you just get tingles and yeah. And even when you hear his mum talking, it's just what they went through and how they found out about what he has. It was just, wow.
It's a beautiful story.
A beautiful story.
Beautiful story.
And just how resilient you have to be as a parent when you hear that about what's happened to their child is just next level. And
The one thing I also love about doing this podcast is when you meet people like this, they really do just
100%.
inspire you to do more with your life.
100%. And you really need to try harder.
And refocus as well.
Yeah.
Like when you start, you hear what now is important considering to what it was before.
Yeah.
it really just realigns the value of what we sometimes consider
100%.
valuable in our life.
Yeah.
So without further ado, let's get into the episode and let's get them tell the story because, they'll tell it better than we ever
100%.
would. So without further ado, I give you the episode today.
Sam and Jett.
Sam and Jett.
Waking up in the morning and to be well. Quite honest with you, I ain't really sleep well. You ever feel like your train of thought's been derailed? That's when you press on, lean in. Half the population just waiting to see me fail. Yeah, right, you better off trying to freeze hell. Some of us do it for the females, and others do it for the reeds. But I do it for the kids, life through the tower in on. Every time you fall, it's only making your chin strong. And I'll be in your corner like Nick, baby, till the end of when you hear a song from that big lady.
Sam, Jett, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today. So good to have you driving all the way from the Central Coast to join us. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Jett. Obviously, mom and son. Yeah, it's really cool. I've known you guys for a while now. It's been awesome, obviously, for me to have the privilege really to just watch what's unfolded, which we'll get into a little bit later. But thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Jett. 14 years, almost 15.
15,
15 years old. You have lived quite a life already at 15 years old, hey?
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Just putting it lightly, hey?
Just a tiny.
Yeah.
Tiny bit.
Yeah. Let's ask you a few questions. You're 15 years old. What does 15 years old look like for you in terms of what do you enjoy doing? What's your hobbies?
What do I enjoy doing? I enjoy swimming.
Yeah.
The gym.
Yeah, gym.
Yeah.
Lives in the gym.
Yeah. You buffed up quite a bit since I last saw you. You like your 4x4ing as well, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Four-wheel driving? Yeah. I've seen a few posts that mom's put up where you've had the privilege of going with some of the hardcore 4x4 enthusiasts.
Yeah.
Hey? You've been in some cool vehicles? What's been your favorite?
My favorite?
Yeah.
Like experience?
Yeah.
There's like this blind event that gets held and it's for blind people who can't drive. And we get to drive on a racetrack.
Oh, wow.
I hit 120 in a Honda Jazz.
What?
Honda Jazz.
And I was sitting in the back with another friend, Darren.
And you were scared.
I'm like, how are blind people driving 100 and something kilometres and they can't see? It was
And I'm
terrifying.
15, so I'm underage anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the
that's-
Eastern Creek.
Eastern
Speedway.
Creek?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Most people wouldn't even have gone 120 Ks in their whole life, let alone at 15 years old.
And there were people there with zero vision driving.
Wow. That's amazing.
Zero.
Wow.
I mean, geez, what an experience. Like to feel it and then to just not know where you're going either. I would have my foot ready on the brake. I'm sure you would have as well.
Well, it was in learner driver's car, so the person sitting next to them was a driving instructor, so they could overtake if we were going to die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever felt a car shake so much though.
Yeah.
A Honda Jazz? No.
Yeah.
That's so cool though.
And then you did Porsche laps too.
Oh,
yeah.
You got in a Porsche?
Yes. Yeah, I was in the passenger seat and going 200 around corners.
Yeah.
Hold on.
So is it the car that you enjoy? Is it the feeling of adrenaline where you're like, this is cool?
Both.
Yeah?
Both.
Yeah. Because I know one of the cool things that obviously you've done in this last year is that you've gone to every Disney World in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah?
And Universal.
And Universal.
Yep.
Wow.
So you're an adrenaline junkie, which is just obviously insane at 15. I mean, most 15-year-olds I think would be, but you're living that adrenaline junkie vibe
Absolutely.
for sure. What would you say was your favorite Disney that you went to?
Oh, definitely the ones in America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The original one in Florida?
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah.
I've had
California's the original.
Yeah.
Is California the original?
Yeah.
Yep.
I thought Florida was the original.
Nah, that's why they've got the teeny tiny castle.
Ah,
Okay.
okay. Because I've been to the Florida one.
That's the biggest one in the world.
That's the biggest one, yeah.
Yep.
That's got the seven parks?
Four.
Yeah,
And
four.
then 3 water parks.
Yes, and the 3 water
Yeah,
parks.
wow.
Yeah.
So we did 8 days straight and we've just booked and we're doing 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Wow.
How
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you are.
And you go on all the crazy rides?
All of them.
You're the man. I love it. It's great. Can we come with you?
Do you have a favorite ride?
Yeah.
Oh,
One that like stands out the most?
my favorite rides are probably at Universal.
Yeah.
And my favorite by far would probably be the Velocicoaster in Florida.
Velocicoaster.
Yeah. Sounds scary
Can I
enough.
be inappropriate?
Yeah.
So to give you some sense of the force of the Velocicoaster,
Yeah.
every time we'd launch, I had to put my boobs back in my bra because they were not in there. That's how long you spend upside down.
That's intense.
And the G-force is we had to get clearance for Jett to be able to ride it because of the G-force.
You couldn't feel your feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
That's nuts.
Do you know what? Enjoy it while you're young, because I was the same. I loved all of those crazy rides. But when I've got a bit older, now when I take my boys on there, I'm like, oh, God, I don't feel very well. We've got to get off.
I'm 42 and I'm still kicking strong, so fingers crossed.
Yep, hold on. Okay. I'll get my way through, but I'm just like, oh, God, it doesn't feel like it did when you were younger.
Hey, Jett, do you think that mum actually enjoys the parks more than you do?
I reckon she does.
I'd probably say it's
50-50?
Equal.
Equal.
50-50.
I like that. Good.
Yeah, it's cool.
Good answer.
I get nervous still on the big rides and he's like, Mom. But I still get nervous and I tend to hold his chest, which is so stupid. You're upside down doing 100 and something k's an hour. I'm not going to be able to hold him.
He's coming out if you're coming out.
Yeah. And the Velocicoaster, you don't have anything over your shoulders. It's just, but the G-force keeps you in your seat.
Oh.
So while we're doing like twirls and stuff, I've got my hands up and almost falling out of the seat.
That's nuts. I mean, amusement parks are just the funnest, aren't they?
Yeah,
Yes.
I love it.
Honestly,
Just so much fun.
Anyone who doesn't like an amusement park is living a boring life.
Absolutely.
And you honestly, you cross like Disney, people will say, why Disney? And you go in and honestly, the rest of the world doesn't exist.
It is like, it's just a whole.
It's like a special,
It's a bubble.
spectacular.
Yeah, magic bubble.
And everyone's happy and everyone's so helpful. And there's like, you just don't go in there and there's no fights. There's no like nonsense and things like that. Everyone is
Everyone
just,
just
is the
loves.
happiest place on earth, honestly.
Yeah. It truly is,
Yeah.
And I mean, the banks love it too because it's like ting, ting,
Yeah.
ting.
Tap and go all the way.
It's the happiest, It's the happiest place on earth except for your bank account.
The bank account's crying.
Yeah, that's cool. Sam, let's go to you. Obviously, you're Jett's mum. What do you do for work?
I'm a behavioural therapist and I own my own company and I work with gorgeous little people that find the world quite challenging.
So your background is with people who have
Teaching,
in teaching, and then with kids who have disabilities or struggles when it comes to learning.
Yeah, which I kind of feel was a blessing because obviously when we hear Jett's story, I was already in that world. So it wasn't a complete smack in the face and had a lot of contacts. But, I work with little people that need help.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now that we've gone there and you said Jett's story, I'm going to start this off by just saying quickly, and I've said this to you before this, but Jett, you are an inspiring little dude. At 15 years old, honestly, I am at a loss for words when I try and tell people about your story and the things that you've walked through. And I will tell you this because when I try to tell Mick, when we try to line you guys up originally for an episode, and I said, we've got to get Jett and Sam on the podcast. And Mick was like, oh, why? And I was like, well, he's just had a really incredible life. And, he's gone through this really traumatic experience and it's brain cancer. And he's like, oh, okay. And I'm like, but it's just, but he's kind of come through and it's like, oh, okay. I can't tell his story. He's got to tell his story. So it's an incredible story to tell. And so I just want to honor you right at the beginning of this podcast 100%. And say that you are an incredible dude. I know Mick will agree with me. From the moment you've walked in, you've had a smile on your face. Yeah. You're bringing such joy into the room. And everything you've said, which has been not a lot, let's be honest. You've been a man of very few words, but everything you've said has just been so profound. You really are an inspiring little dude. And I really feel that you have such a broad scope for how you're going to influence people around you. Thank you. I just want you to take that in and not have to just like be like, oh, they're just telling me this because of. No, I really want 100%. You to honestly, hear that.
And if I can share my story, when I called and spoke to your mum, I was in the car driving to an appointment, and I literally had to stop and pull myself together before I went into my appointment because your mum had me in tears, and I'd only been on the phone to her for 10 minutes. And I was like, oh my God, yes, you need to come and see us like now.
Yeah.
Well, I think also because you're a dad.
Yeah, well, that's true.
So you're
100%.
just like, I'm so grateful this didn't happen to my son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into the story.
Yeah, 100%.
So Jett, 15 years old, life changed to you dramatically around what, 13?
Yeah, 13.
13. So life looked pretty normal up until this time, didn't it, for you?
Yeah.
13-year-old kid, going to school, interacting with your mates.
Having
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, having fun. It was pretty normal, right?
Yeah, hating school. all the
Hating
stuff.
school.
Yeah.
Being dragged out of bed every morning like I have to do with my children.
Yeah. There were inclinations up until this point, though, that something was wrong. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah.
What were some of these things that you felt were not right with you?
My vision was beginning to go. I could barely bend over. Yeah, there
Headaches
was-
for months.
Yeah, headaches were terrible.
Cramping.
Yeah, cramping.
And also he became not anxious, but anxious and emotional, but couldn't understand why he was feeling like that.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Grandma was on the plane
Grandma
with
was
him.
on the plane
Yeah.
with you. Okay.
Oh, yeah, he didn't fly by himself.
okay.
And then they took him to Mackay Hospital, and unfortunately the MRI machine was down. So,
good.
and they checked his eyes, and they're like, his eyes are fine, which his eyes are fine, but it's the optical nerve that's not fine. And they just said to Mum, no, he's a good, healthy kid. He's okay.
Go and have a holiday.
Yeah, and then Mum's like, well, we need to have the MRI. So Mum took him home that night, and he ran into a wall. He ran into the fridge, and Mum's like, yeah, something's
Not right.
really, really wrong.
Yeah.
And took him back to the hospital, and then they didn't have the staff. And my mum being a nurse herself, got a little bit frustrated over that, and magically staff were found. So that was on the 1st of October 2022.
Remind me not to mess with your mum.
Well, if it wasn't for her, Jett would be dead today.
Yeah. October 2020, October?
1st,
The 1st, 2022.
Yeah.
What a day in the life of Jett, huh?
Yeah.
So you went in for the MRI. Mum was here. In fact, Mum was here, and Mum, you were getting your hair done in the
Well,
morning.
yeah, because I'd been at work all week, and I went and got my hair done because
What else?
I'm a single mum,
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
don't ever
single
really
mum,
get to go
yeah.
to the hairdresser.
Yeah. And you at
And-
that stage, life was normal.
Yeah.
Jett was
Well, everyone
on
had told us
holiday.
we were crazy. So, yes, life
was normal. So there wasn't an issue.
Yeah.
So you
And
were just
then-
going and doing your normal routine as any person would.
Yes. And
then it all changed.
Yeah. So Jett was having his MRI. Mum gave me a call to say, Sam, listen, something's not right. He's been in it for too long. And I was like, Mum, it will be okay. Also because I didn't want anything to be wrong.
Of course not. Yeah.
And she's like, Sam, you're going to have to leave the hairdresser, go home. Like something is not going to be okay. And then I did. I left the hairdresser and got home, and I remember just walking around the house going, no, everything's going to be okay. And a pediatrician from Mackay Base Hospital called, and that was a hard moment. I remember she just rang and she introduced who she was, and she's like, have you got someone with you? And I'm like, no. So I quickly ran down to my friend's house, just my neighbour, and she said to me that they had discovered a large mass in Jett's head and also the cyst, which has left him blind. And they didn't know how long he had to live because of the size of the tumour, and asked if I would like him to have a surgical procedure to have it removed, or if I would like him to wait in Mackay Hospital to come and say goodbye to him. And it was a classic moving moment. I remember screaming, like as if I was getting murdered, screaming. And just crying, and my friend Kiara had to take the phone and take the phone call. And then when I obviously stopped crying, I was able to talk to her, and she just said that, the size of the mass. And I mean, at that stage, I don't know if it's
Didn't really
cancer,
know. Yeah.
because it could just be a tumour, a benign tumour. But they said because of the size, the positioning, that he didn't have long to live. And I had to say goodbye to my little boy, who was very medicated at that stage.
I was feeling good.
He was on fentanyl, and he was as high as a kite.
Yeah.
But I had to say goodbye to him. And I would say as a mum, that's literally the worst
worst.
nightmare, saying goodbye to your child.
Yeah.
I didn't
Because
even know.
Yeah, what do you say?
Well, I was going to say, what did you
So
even
I didn't
say?
actually
Do you
say
remember?
goodbye to him.
No.
I don't really remember.
You just would have jumped on the positive mum bandwagon.
Yeah,
You'll
I
be
was
right.
just like, I love you and I can't wait to see you, and Grandma's with you, Uncle Matt's with you. They gave him a helicopter because he had to fly on, I think we went on like 4 different helicopters. Care flight took him from Mackay to Townsville, which is about a 3.5 hour flight.
Because they didn't have the facilities that Mackay had.
No, Mackay can't do brain surgery. And I just said to him, when you wake up, I'll be there. And I remember hanging up and just literally think that may be the last time I ever talked to him.
Well, I mean, yeah, I remember you were saying that you didn't know at that stage that he was going to Brisbane.
Well, he was meant to go to Brisbane.
Yeah.
So when I got to the airport, we booked a flight to Brisbane, and then obviously whatever happened in the scheduling of the hospital, and also the Brisbane team didn't feel that they could manage Jett's case, they transferred him to Townsville. So when you're standing about to board a plane and then all of a sudden they're like, really sorry, the paediatrician rang and they're like, we're sending him to Townsville. And I have to give a shout out to Qantas. I'd never paid for that extra flight. They just swapped it over.
Yeah, well.
Air hostess gave up her seat and I got to Townsville and
Literally dropped in the middle of nowhere to find your baby.
Yeah, and I've never been to Townsville, so I didn't even really know what kind of – and I'm from the country and I've lived in remote parts of New South Wales and Western Australia, and I was like, oh, my gosh, this is going to be a little country hospital with GPs pretending to be brain surgeons, which I can explain more of that story. But when I turned up, Jett was still in surgery for about 3 hours. And when they came out, that was actually the funny part. So there was a huge surgery team, and the first thing I did was ask them for their qualifications.
Are you legit?
Yeah. Well, they obviously told me that Jett was alive, and they removed the cyst, so the tumour was still there because it was too big to do in one surgery. But they had to take out the cyst. They had to remove the fluid out of the cyst because that's what was crushing his brain. And if you crush your brain stem, it's goodbye.
Yeah, they said I had hours to live.
I actually asked them, I said, what would have happened if he didn't go blind? And they said he would have just been running around and just collapsed, and that would be it.
So in actual fact, when you think of it like that, your blindness was actually
My
Your
saving
second
grace.
your saving grace.
Yeah. I think that's why you're not angry about being blind, hey, Jett?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
'cause-
if he didn't go blind, 100% he would have died
Yeah.
whilst he
right.
was in the Whitsundays.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's unbelievable.
Wow.
And I mean, one of the interesting things that you told us before this, Jett, was that originally it was you had days to live, and then you had to get on a helicopter, and that went from days to hours.
Yeah.
Well, your brain doesn't like pressure.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's insane when you think of it, because you literally you went from cutting your time in almost not even half, it was even less.
And that's why I said to the team in Townsville, I'm like, let's get him back on a plane. And Westmead, like we live next to one of the best kids' hospitals in the world. And that's when I'm like, well, are any of you even qualified to do this? And because they've kept in contact with all of us, and they said, hands down, that is the best question they've ever been asked by a parent. And Jett's surgeon, I mean, he's intensivist, used to be the head intensivist for Westmead down here for years.
Yeah.
And his brain surgeon was the leading brain surgeon in Dubai and the Mayo Clinic, and had just
And Brazil.
and Brazil, and had just relocated to Australia.
Unreal.
And the second surgery, which was 12 to 14 hours, I asked him, I said, because I mean, they were reluctant to do it because of the size of the tumour and the location. And he was like, yeah, I'm going to give this a go.
Yeah.
And he fully removed Jett's brain tumour.
After the surgery, he came out to my mum and my grandma and he said, I can't say this, but I got it.
But then I didn't really understand that. I was like, well, of course you got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now I live in the brain cancer world. If most people aren't,
Wouldn't have got.
yeah, most people don't have that success rate where it's fully removed. And if that had happened and it wasn't removed, yeah, he wouldn't be sitting here today.
And so what is officially your diagnosis, Jett, or from the doctor?
Like the name of the brain tumour? It's a neuroepithelial brain tumour with a PATSI1 variant.
A grade 4.
Grade 4,
Grade
yeah.
4.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, it's there's only 70. Actually, there's more people now, but at the time he was diagnosed, there was only 70 people in the world with his brain tumour type.
And you said you were only one of the youngest children to have it?
With that type of tumour, yeah. But they're popping up more and more now.
Yeah, right.
Is there any indication of what causes it?
No,
No?
I've gone crazy trying to figure that out. No, it was just unfortunate.
So, Jett, let me ask you this question. Obviously you had said you were drugged up, but how did you feel being told that you had to go into surgery?
Well, at first when they told me that they had found a large mass in my brain, and I just laid in the hospital bed screaming, I don't want to die. So, yeah.
And then you obviously got told that you need to go in for surgery urgently.
Yeah, and then there was the wait for the helicopter to come, which was cancelled twice because people were one lady went into labour, and I think there was
That was on the way home.
No, there was.
Oh, really? There
one
as
day.
well?
Yeah, twice.
The joys of rural areas.
There was other people more important right at that time.
Yeah.
And what was going through your mind at this stage?
Well, Mum's not here. That's the first.
Yeah, you didn't have mum. You obviously had Gran and you had your uncle.
Yeah. After that, they hooked me up to some cannulas and stuff, and they started giving me fentanyl. So I was feeling real good.
So you were good then.
Yeah, and also because they needed him not to move or stress, so they had to pretty much comatose him. So and the thing is though, for anybody, you don't want to sit in a helicopter pondering your death. So and also any longer he would have lost his vision completely. Forever. So they had to keep his brain very stable.
Okay. So you were not allowed to move much during this period, or?
Nope.
Yep.
He was strapped into. I've got photos. Yeah, he was strapped.
In look.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
What was it? What did it feel like when you came out of that first surgery? What was your thought process then? Obviously, Mum was there now, so you'd seen her.
I remember going into the surgery.
Well, he actually didn't see me because he had zero vision for about 6 weeks.
Okay.
Pure darkness.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I remember going into the surgery. I remember putting the mask on and getting told to count to 5. I got to 2.
Do you even remember when I was there?
I remember the day before the second operation, and I don't really remember much.
Yeah.
He had drains from his brain coming out, which were constantly leaking, and he had cannulas in his throat.
I've still got scars.
Yeah, he was a sick little boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't a typical brain. Like you hear of people having brain surgery and they're out of hospital 3 days later. Jett was in hospital for months.
I think you said 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. 8 weeks. That's a long time to be in hospital,
Long
dude.
time.
Yeah,
In intensive care.
Yeah.
the days started to merge.
Yeah.
Just so long.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
He'd have got itchy feet just being like, I want to get out of this
Yeah.
place. Eh?
Yeah, and then he had so many complications and his brain kept swelling. And one of the things I said to them is because Jett had a massive egg on the back of his head full of fluid, and if not, they had to put a shunt in it, which is a permanent fluid release, which I just
would have
didn't
taken
want.
another operation.
Yeah, another surgery, and I didn't want a shunt if we could avoid it. And I said to our neurologist, I said, what do we do to avoid it? And he's like, well, Jett needs to walk a couple of Ks a day, but that's not going to happen. And Jett's like, what did you say, Jett? You were like, hell no.
Oh, yeah.
And he was walking, so he had zero vision. He was walking, and he was so tiny then, kilometres around Townsville
4Ks
Hospital.
a day in a hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Just walking around, and we got all the fluid out of his brain.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Do you know why that is the case? Why the walking drain the fluid?
Because you're laying down, your body doesn't naturally have the up and down to naturally drain it.
Yeah, and also because it was spinal fluid and it was just getting stuck.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So the movement helped.
So
everything move
we
around
naturally, our spinal fluid moves up and down.
Yeah.
Sorry, because of obviously gravity.
Yeah.
But when you're laying in a bed, there's no gravity.
Yep.
So, they were laughing. They're like, he's not going to do that. And Jett's like,
I did.
yes, I will.
Watch me. Yeah.
And he had all his head wrapped up and because of all the drains coming out of his brain. His head was sideways. It wasn't a good look, but everybody knew us very well in Townsville Hospital because we did laps.
Yeah.
My favourite thing to do was to walk down to Ronald McDonald and borrow all the chips.
And the icebox.
On you.
Borrow all the chips.
Yeah. Yeah, good old Ronald McDonald House.
Yeah.
They're a saviour.
Yeah. Obviously, in the beginning stages, doctors were not very hopeful when it came to Jett's, how long Jett was going to be still with us, which would be incredible to hear for any obviously parent.
Yeah, well, you get taken to what you were saying before,
the
a quiet room. So Mum and I were asked to come
My worst fear.
for a meeting, and the nurses stayed with, or he was in intensive care, so the nurses stayed with Jett. And they sit you around the table and you've got all the surgeons and the intensivists and the social workers. And you're just like, this is not
going to be good.
Yeah, and I remember directly asking, is he going to die? And yeah, I just remember our incredible intensivist who we love and adore still talk to him. And he just said, he's got grade 4 brain cancer, Sam.
Meanwhile, I was on fentanyl and I saw bananas
ice blocks and
eating
chips.
Yeah, but I was watching bananas and reindeers walk around my room.
He's like, Mom, there's like reindeers next to the nurse. I'm like, okay, darling. So I'm like, there's no rain. But anyway, he was getting too high, so they had to take him off fentanyl.
Yeah.
That was a very sad day.
So, yeah, you're in this room,
Yeah.
and obviously the news wasn't good.
Yeah, and we're in there for quite a while and just asking, I guess, how long have I got? What is it going to look like when he dies? And they're so beautiful. I actually don't know how they do their job. And they can't give you an exact answer, but every doctor, when they say just enjoy the time you've got left, it's just like, damn.
Wow.
And I remember we walked out and Mum's like, you're going to have to suck this up, Sam. Like, you cannot go out like this in front of Jett. But Jett knew because he had no vision and he can read emotions now by the way we breathe. And I walked out and I remember I just cradled him and I said, what do you want to do when this is all over?
And I said, I want to go to Disneyland.
And he goes, I want to
No
redo
problem.
every Disney in the world.
Yeah.
And I'm like, done. And I started searching that day because I thought if I don't have something to focus on, I'm literally going to go insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember when he would sleep, I'd just stare at him and I cried myself to sleep probably for about 6 months, just because you try to imagine a world without your child. And because it's been he and I since he was been 2, like literally he and I. And I'm just like, he's my world. And he's also such a beautiful person.
Yeah,
So I remember
yeah.
saying to the doctors, why does this happen to the good kids? Like, why does this not happen to the kids that are out there stabbing people? And it's unfair.
Yeah.
Do you remember what I told you that night when I caught you crying?
No. Well, yeah, I don't know what you've said a lot of things.
Tell
That
us.
scares me. I told you to cry when I was gone and to enjoy now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's wise words, dude. That is wise words, honestly.
Yeah, he's just like, Mum, you need to stop crying and just cry when I go. And
That's
I stopped
crazy.
crying. Well, as far as he knows, but I stopped crying in front of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's actually, we could create a quote book of the
You
things
should
that
create a
Jett
quote
said.
book. That would be the top of
Yeah.
the list for sure.
Yeah.
Along with, I remember I asked you this question before, but when the doctors came to you, Jett, and they said to you, obviously you need to, this is not looking good. And you said that your response to them was?
Well, I tried to look them dead in the eye. I probably looked in the complete opposite direction. But I told them, you don't know my God. And personally, I'm a Christian. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was huge for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what you've lent on and you stood by. And look at you today. That was 2 years ago almost?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they also told us because Jett had, once he had his 2 surgeries and then had to learn to walk again. And when we eventually got back home to Newcastle, so Jett went straight to John Hunter, and we have a fabulous oncologist there. And he organised. So Jett had the 33 rounds of radiation at the Mater and then had to do the 170 rounds of chemo.
Which you said to us before this is the most you can have.
Yeah, that much radiation on your brain's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it turns the cancer into KFC, Kentucky Fried Cancer.
Yeah, so when Jett was, because they make him a big sticker chart for the kids.
Yeah.
Because when you go into radiation oncology, it's typically, thankfully, elderly people or people my age and above.
Yes.
We didn't see any other children at the time, but all the radiographers, they love the kids.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking, but
Yes.
they love the kids.
Yeah.
And they made Jett a huge sticker chart and they made him an extra big one, obviously, because he couldn't see it. And he would make jokes about it being KFC, Kentucky Fried Cancer.
Yeah, I was offering the doctors KFC.
But yeah, no, it's not good to give your brain that much radiation. And they told us that he would have significant deficits in his learning, and that has not happened. And so that's another thing that he has defied the odds with.
I feel like everything
Everything
they've
said
you,
he'd do,
you've
he's
defied.
Yeah, he's done the opposite.
Yeah.
And even one of our appointments last year, they just reminded me to sit in reality and just, because I was like, no, we're going to be fine. But as we know, the statistics with brain cancer is 1 in 5 kids will die. 4 in 5 kids will die within 5 years.
Right.
And with for brain cancer, it's within 2.
But you're over that.
You're over that
You're
2
over
year
that
mark.
2 year mark.
Yeah, do you
Yep.
know what the sucky thing is though? Like we celebrate that, but most people die within 5 years. So you sit and you're like, yes, we've hit 2 years, but then you're like,
No, you got to go for 5.
Good 5.
yeah, but then I'm like, have we only got 3 left?
But I will say this. If I know anything from the story that we've
Yeah.
just discussed, is Jett loves being told what he can't do.
Yeah.
And then he does the opposite.
Well, our oncologist, he said someone has to be that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
Yeah, when they told me that 70% die from this cancer, and I said, well, I'm going to be the 30.
Yeah.
Good on you.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Frank, anyone who has brain cancer, a kid with brain cancer in the Hunter would know Dr. Frank. And yeah, I remember him sitting when we first got into John Hunter and he said to Jett, I'm going to save you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, why tell him this? And we've just been told he's going to die. And then I thought, actually, no, I just need to listen to him. And
we need some hope.
yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And I think
he's-
God might be on your side, my friend.
God's always on your side.
Yeah,
Yeah, you knew
100%.
that from the very first moment. It's an incredible story. Every time an obstacle has just been placed in front of you, Jett, you've just hurdled it.
Well, you need to tell them how you took your chemo, Jack, because this is very uncommon too.
Oh, yeah.
Don't tell me you swigged it.
Yeah.
Yes, he
I
did.
drank it.
What?
Have you ever tasted death?
No.
He
'Cause-
drank it out of a shot glass.
Yeah.
What?
So I'll never drink again, but I'll never drink.
What? Why?
It was Dr. Frank, I should say, had a wild idea to give Jett what you usually get in a drip in a glass to see if it will cross the brain barrier.
Yeah, the blood barrier. It would.
Yeah.
It'd
So
be
that's
more
the sucky
effective.
part of brain cancer is because it's so hard for the chemo to get to the brain.
Right.
Okay.
So he drank it.
So can you describe what that even tastes like?
Death.
Yeah.
Death, all the chemicals in the world, and just
So he would do
close
it in the
your nose and,
shower.
like this cancer was. No, not this cancer. The chemo was actually designed to kill people back in World War II.
Yes.
And you are swigging it to
So
save
he
your
took
life.
one as a tablet and then the other one he took as a drink. And as a mum, walking down there 170 times to make your child drink something, and if he vomited it, we had to start
Start
again.
again.
So he and he was still a little boy then, but he would take it in a shot glass, and that's why he said he'll never be able to take shots again. And I'm like,
Not a
yes.
bad thing, yeah.
Not a bad thing.
But he would sit and I would watch him do it and then because he was in a shower chair because he was still obviously, as he's now still blind, so you can't do that standing up.
I loved that thing.
And then throw his head up in the shower just to try and keep it down. I tasted a little bit of it, and I would say it was a combination of like Drano, peroxide, chlorine, and petrol.
Oh,
Yeah.
unbelievable.
And do you know what? He did that 170 times. There was not a single day he was angry at me. Nothing. And he's just like, I have to do this.
Wow. And so you drank it every day. You didn't have.
Oh no, he'd have it. Yeah, so he didn't. No, so he didn't have it through a port.
Okay.
No.
I'd have 5 days on and then 2 weeks off.
Yeah, 10 off and then back on again.
Yep.
Okay.
And so after we had to go to the hospital every round and go to the pharmacy at the hospital and get his big pack and had to be administered. That was a crazy thing. I couldn't touch him. I couldn't use his toilet. I had to use purple gloves. If he vomited, we needed those psychotonic kits. But then he's drinking it. I'm like, I can't
You can't touch him, but
I can't touch him. But hey, that's going down his throat. Good luck, mate. Have fun. But he's here today and his cancer hasn't returned.
Yeah.
So technically he's considered to have brain cancer for 5 years. That's the medical understanding. And then after 5 years he goes into remission. Yeah.
Unreal.
You're unbelievable.
You're unreal, dude. What does life look like for you now, Jett? You're back at school, which is insane.
Yeah.
Full-time,
I'm sure you love that.
Yeah.
He actually but what happens, Jett, when you don't go to school for 2 years?
Oh, you actually start to really enjoy it.
You want to go to school.
You want to go to
Yeah.
school, yeah.
Because you don't want to go and have chemotherapy.
Yeah.
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 Well, because I'm blind, I can't read anymore. I'll probably never drive
You definitely will never drive.
legally.
We have a bit of a joke about what we want to do to the RMS. So Jett has memorised the vision board because he's had to do that stupid chart so many times,
Yes.
and he can't read it.
Yeah.
What you tell them what you want to do?
I want to do the test online, and then I want to walk in, get my license, and get my cane out and walk out.
You should do that.
And I'm like, maybe not. It's the government. We may
What are they
going to
do?
Good on you. I reckon we could give it a go.
And he makes jokes that one day he'll drive with his cane out the window and but I mean the sad thing is his mates are getting their licenses now and as a mum I have to stand in the background and watch that. And because Jett's incredibly kind, he congratulates them and loves them, but it sucks.
100%.
It sucks.
Also,
Do you know the good thing? You'll actually never have to drive and you can always be in the back seat and someone gets to drive you. It's a winner.
Well, we were just in America and in San Francisco they had those
Self-driving cars.
self-driving cars everywhere. And I'm like, come on, Australia, get on board.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think about that story that you just said now about getting the driver's license, and I think what a silly thing when you think about obviously the value of someone's life. You're like, you get to spend time with Jett, and for all aspects of life, I mean, you get to do most things with him still.
Yeah. Well, we said goodbye to a number of people, little people last year. Jett's the only one alive in his little group that we did treatment with, and I remember saying to Jed's mum, I'm like, I hate that. This was before Jett passed away. And I said to her, I'm like, I hate that Jett's blind. And now I look, because I mean, obviously we all talk about just the horrible things our children go through. And then when Jetty passed away, I thought she would do anything to have a blind child, anything, because he's gone. And little Imogen, who Jett's treatment protocol, she was born with brain cancer. And she died last year at 3 years old. But we believe that, and her dad is the pastor at Jett's sister school, and we truly believe that Imogen hung around to give Jett his treatment plan.
Okay.
Because it kept her alive for 3 years and she was never meant to stay alive. And that's what I say to Imogen's mum and dad is that your baby saved my baby.
It's
Yeah,
It's
so
crazy when you think of
little
things like that,
Imogen
eh?
is, and I know they're going to listen to this. Little Imogen will be with us forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's your angel.
Yeah, and she was a sassy little 3-year-old. Gosh, she was a gorgeous kid, and she had never known anything other than brain cancer. Born with it. They
Yeah.
discovered it a few days old.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so what does life look like now for you, Jett, in terms of what are your goals for the future? What do you want to achieve?
Keep on achieving.
Keep ticking those boxes, hey?
Yeah.
Well,
Keep
what
the-
do you want to do after school? You do have a plan.
Oh yeah. I want to, after I finish like year 12, I want to go into university, and I want to study business.
Good on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any particular business that you want to go into?
Still trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
I want him to go and be business development manager for Disney.
Why not? Yeah.
I figured we've done every Disney
Yeah.
World twice now, so
You could give us some
we're
feedback.
experts.
Yeah, exactly.
Make some changes.
I think that's awesome,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing. I mean, Jett, again, your story is just phenomenal. Sam, as a parent, your story is phenomenal. You guys are really shining lights when it comes to just defying the odds. You are, Jett, you are the definition of defiance, honestly. And no matter what anyone tells you, you keep going, my God is bigger or my God is stronger. Doesn't matter what you guys say. You stand on that belief, and that's amazing. And then you just keep defying the odds. You keep proving everyone wrong, whether it be a doctor who keeps telling you that that's not the case and the statistics tell you otherwise. Like, you're like, no, doesn't matter what they say. I'm going to be the one that does make it or defies it.
Yeah.
You really are the definition of defiance and resilience. So really, from our side, congratulations, dude. Yeah. Like you are amazing. Yeah. I'm so humbled that we get to sit here and hear your story and just get to share it with the world. Because it really is such an inspirational story. And from yours, Sam, as a mum, to go through what you've gone through and still, have a smile on your face, like you say, and just even that line that you said, Jett, where you said to mum, like, don't need tears now. You can have tears when I'm gone. Like, that is such a beautiful moment and something that I don't think I've heard a child even think of.
Yeah.
It's just you far beyond your years. And I think it goes to show when someone meets you and they interact with you, just the incredible kind.
Even before his surgery, he just said to me, if I go, Mum, it was time for me to go home.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hell no, you are not going home. You are not going to heaven, mate. You are staying right here.
It shows you still got a lot to do here. Hey?
Yeah.
Yeah, like when people ask me how did I get through my chemo, I said I went hard, I go hard or I go home.
Good man.
Yeah.
Good on you.
Sam, from you, I'm going to ask you any advice that you have through a parent who's going through what you're going through or went through.
Well, first thing is we know our children better than any single person in the world. And it doesn't matter how many years someone goes to university, you know your kid and stand your ground.
Listen to the mum.
Yeah, listen.
Should always listen to your mother.
Yeah. And then the second thing, I mean, this has been 2 years, and I would say it's 2 years of daily trauma. And 1 minute you're planning your child's funeral and their speech, and then the next minute you're trying to figure out when they go back to school and where are they going to go to university, and it screws with your head, like just to have that constant to and fro.
Yeah.
And then last year we obviously went to every Disney and Universal in the world, and I mean, people have said to me I was crazy. They're like, why would you spend, like honestly, my whole savings on traveling the world? And I look back, I remember when they told me that Jett was going to die. I would have packed up my whole house, everything he owned, everything I owned, and put it in a box.
Yep.
And literally, and you don't understand it until you hear it, but all you literally have is what you've done together. And I would spend the money that I spent last year over and over again. So much so we've just booked another trip to Disney because, it's literally over like one phone call. Your entire life
Change.
Got
tipped upside down.
Yeah, and little things that I used to be worried about literally do not faze me
The little things.
anymore. Oh, yeah, what people think about me, who cares? Like, who cares?
Yeah.
And then when you have a sick child, everyone has an opinion, and it's really hard to block out the noise.
Yeah.
We've had people tell
No one. So we're just people having an opinion. We just block out the noise and move forward.
Yep.
And people do it in love, but it's unless of course you're living it, you just don't know. And people say to me like, "What do we say to somebody, to a mum or a dad when this happens?" And I'm like, "Don't ask what can we do." That used to almost trigger me because I couldn't even think of what I'm doing for me, let alone
what you can do.
What you can do for me.
Yeah.
So I would often – people say, well, what can you do? And I'm like, you just knock on the door and you walk in the house.
Just be
and start cleaning, start cooking, buy groceries, but don't message them and go, what can I do? Because that's so hard. And I would just be like, nothing, because I literally
had nothing to give.
Yeah, I had nothing to give.
Yeah.
And that's actually important because as a mum of a really, terminally sick child, you have nothing to give. Like you're in survival mode for a really long time. And I mean, if it wasn't for my mum, who's kind of like shared care with Jett, she's helped me raise Jett so I can have my business. And like it's just your community around you, but just having people who don't demand anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had friends that just jumped into bed with me and then would just let me just cry.
Yeah.
But yeah, people saying just be positive. I wanted to bash them in the head. Like,
come here, I'll
like,
be positive.
please, like don't tell, and that everything's going to be okay, Sam. It's you don't actually want to be told that. You just want someone to go, this is so crap.
Or just someone just take a bit of the load.
Yeah.
Like don't even
or
need
just
to say anything.
nothing.
Yeah.
Just to listen.
Yeah.
Don't even
be
need to
there
talk.
in the vicinity in case you need to just offload.
So that would be my recommendation is don't text someone, what can I do? Because
just do it.
They're probably struggling just to get out of bed.
Yeah, absolutely.
And coordinate that.
Yeah.
And we were just blessed to have incredible doctors that saved my son.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
And I think hats off to you, Sam, because I have children and I can't even come to terms with even having to have that conversation or getting that phone call or going into the quiet room about your kids because you would rather it be, I'm sure you've had the moment where you'd rather it be you 100 times over.
Yeah.
And I don't want it to be Jett, but unfortunately you didn't get to decide that, and these are the cards that you got dealt with. And you just have to deal with them the best you can. And I don't really think we're ever equipped to deal with that.
No, and we don't want to equip people.
No, absolutely not, no.
And I mean, Jett's lost his childhood, so he now lives in an adult world.
Yes.
I mean, when you start talking about palliative care and all the damage to his body with the chemo, and he should have been learning how to use Snapchat and annoying people, but he's missed all that.
Making TikToks.
Yeah. So I have a really healthy, well-adjusted child because he doesn't use social media.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Don't worry about it. You didn't miss out on much, trust me.
I wish one of my boys didn't have social media. It'd be so much easier.
So there are some advantages.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Jett, your time to shine, bud. Obviously, you've been shining this whole episode, but I get the obviously honour to leave you with leaving the last word for today for those listening. If there's one thing you want people to hear, one thing that you want people to hold on to, hear, listen, remember from this episode, last word is yours, bud. You're an inspiration, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for you because I think it's got big things. And I think business is only a small part of it. I'm going to say that.
Same.
Yeah. So last word for today, Jett, I'm going to leave this to you.
I've got two.
Woo!
Go.
Okay.
Go to Disneyland. And also, I get that sometimes that the statistics do turn on you and you are the 70%, but don't stop believing that you won't be the 30%.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love that. Defy the statistics.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Well, dude, you live that every day of your life, so
I was going to say,
congratulations.
continue to do that, my friend. Continue to do
I
it.
can't wait in 3 years' time to get you back on this podcast.
So we finish school and being an
finish
adult.
school, tell me your story even more and how much you just keep defying those odds.
Yeah.
Enjoy Disneyland.
Yes, absolutely. Enjoy
I wish I could be coming with you.
Yeah. We could carry your bags or something.
Yeah, I love roller coasters. That's all I'm going to say.
Me too. Maybe we could do it for a podcast.
Yeah, let's do it. We'll do a
Disneyland.
podcast from Disney. Let's do it.
Perfect.
Yeah. Jett, thank you so much. Sam, thank you so much
Thanks
for joining
for
us.
having us, guys.
We really
Really
appreciate
appreciate
you. And if anyone wants to get hold of you, Sam, we'll put your resources on our page, whether that be for your business or personally. Maybe you might find they want to reach out and just ask for some advice.
Yep, happy.
But Jett, Can't wait to have you back on this podcast again. Thank you guys for joining us. If you want to reach out on our socials, it's Leave a Light On Podcast. Actually, it's not. It's Leave a Light On for Mental Health now.
Yeah.
Been
a little change.
Yeah.
It's still the same one.
On Instagram, on Facebook, go check it out. And then it's leavealightonpodcast.com.au. Thank you for joining us, guys. Keep well, keep safe, and don't forget, Leave a Light On.
Hey, thanks for listening. We hope you managed to gain some insight from today's episode. Jump onto our socials and reach out. And until next time, wherever you are, let's leave a light on.